How do you make your story enticing or something that readers want to know more and more about? Today I'm going to be talking about one principle in relation to your story that I think can help you get a little bit closer to doing just that. Welcome to How to Write Good. I am your host, Daniel Poppie. You can find out more about me at danielpoppie.com. If it is your first time here, How to Write Good is a writing podcast that seeks to find principles and advice that can be applied across a broad range of writing situations. If you've been here before, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button below, and share. Most everybody knows what a teaser is. If you don't know what a teaser is, it is when a media company puts out a thing to tease your curiosity. For example, you might see a teaser in the form of a film trailer. A teaser is often shorter than a full film trailer, but it is a little something they show you that piques your interest, that gets you interested in something else, that makes you think, what's that? What's going on right there? The Marvel movies, the Marvel Cinematic Universe that had about 364 movies, just under enough for the year, did this almost every single time at the end of their movies. They would have something happen, and what that little teaser was for was to get you to watch more movies. Now, I don't necessarily think it's unethical to do teasers at the end of movies the same way Marvel did those teasers, because the fans loved those teasers. And there are other ways to do teasers as well. If you read the back of a book and you see what that book is about, that little blurb on the back of the book is a teaser. It isn't telling you everything about the book. It is just telling you enough to get you interested in the book, to get you reading that book. I would say there are a lot of things that function as teasers that we would not necessarily consider teasers. Look at some covers of books. Some covers of books make you want to own the book for the cover, and it makes you think that within the book is the most interesting story in the world. It might not necessarily be the case that it contains the most interesting story, but it makes you think that there is the most interesting story in the world between that fantastic cover. A teaser might be a little something you see on a bumper sticker. It might be a saying. It might be something that the author or creator of whatever thing you like says. They might drop a phrase that sounds like something is coming. And I think that in some cases, people actually do this on purpose because it gets excitement for the thing that is coming later. So how do teasers have anything to do with writing? How do teasers have anything to do with making your book more interesting? How do teasers have anything to do with making people want to come back to your book and know more and more about the world you're creating and the book you're writing? What if we thought of more than just trailers to movies or things people say or the blurb on the back cover of books as teasers? What if we thought of implementing this idea within our book itself? How would that exactly look? Well, I can actually point to a very prominent television show that did this exact thing, and it did it in a very good and a very bad way. That television show is Lost, and the teasers I'm talking about are the infamous mystery boxes. The TV show Lost was a hit for a long time. The TV show Lost was a hit because there were so many questions introduced into the story, and there were so many interesting things introduced into the story. There were these weird polar bears. There was this dark mist or smoke. There was this odd group of people that existed on the island. There was a hatch, and nobody knew what that hatch was. These are all mysteries presented to us within the story, and as readers, or in this case, as TV viewers, we want to know what happens with those mysteries. But one of the ways in which the show makers made people watch Lost longer was to string them along, to say, hey, we've got a really cool mystery here. We're presenting it in a really cool way, and you should keep on watching this show because we are going to make this pay off. We are going to make this big, and you are going to love how we end this show. Of course, in the case of Lost, most people agree things did not get paid off. the people creating the show promised so much and they delivered with so little. But we can still learn a lot from what they are doing, especially with how they introduce things in their story. And we can use a principle underneath this idea of mystery boxes, and we can use it to write in a way that brings people back into our story again and again and again, or brings them back into the world of our story again and again and again. This principle was conveyed by, I believe, Ernest Hemingway in the past, and he talked about this idea how writing was an iceberg. And if you know anything about icebergs, or the typical ideas about icebergs, is that most of what an iceberg is under the water. You don't see most of what the iceberg is. There's a lot more to it. And what he said is that when you write, you're not giving the reader all the details about what you're writing. You're actually giving them parts of what you're writing about. Okay? And there are actually multiple different ways we can apply this idea. We can present a mystery to the reader that is going to be revealed later, or we can actually present pieces of a whole. And what happens in the second case is that we present a piece of the whole that the reader will be able to fill in, right? If I draw half of a circle, or I draw lines that create a circle, but there are gaps between the lines, your brain will fill in the gaps between the lines. And this is what I mean by this second way in which we can do this. We are drawing a circle that has gaps in its lines, and we have to fill in those gaps, or in our case, the reader has to fill in those gaps. So in the first case, when you are presenting a mystery, there are different ways to present a mystery. In some cases, you can present a mystery that is never solved. But when you present a mystery you do not intend on showing to the reader eventually, you should try to push it off to the side. You make it a tertiary idea within the story. It does not become a central part of your story. If you do intend to show the reader what that mystery is, you can bring it into the central part of your story, and you can reveal it to your reader slowly. Or you can continually tease that idea to your reader throughout the story. Maybe not constantly, but you can bring it up once in a while. You can reveal a little bit more about it, and you're opening a curtain on that aspect of the story until the reader can see it fully, or until the reader starts to try to put things together. But one of the secrets of making this really effective is that you don't show all the pieces that the person needs to put together the entire picture, right? You could do it. It would take a lot of skill to do it and not make the readers figure it out, or allow the readers to figure it out. But the secret is that you're actually holding back information that is required for the readers to know what's going on, right? And this is really what's happening when you're trying to bring in this aspect of teasing the story to the reader. But I do need to say that the best way this is done is when you can give the reader as much information as possible without actually revealing everything to the reader. So you keep on piling on information in a good way. I don't mean that you're just flooding your reader with information, but you keep on adding information to the pool of information the reader has. And when the reader gets all that information, he thinks, I should be able to figure out this story, but it's still really getting in the way. I just don't understand why I can't figure it out. And then you reveal that final piece of information to the reader. And then the reader suddenly is like, oh, I get it. You know, you finally put the final puzzle piece down and the whole entire picture came together. Another way to do this as well that's similar is that you don't reveal all aspects of all the clues you're presenting, right? So the reader actually has all the clues, but they don't have all the information about all the clues. And then at the end, you put all the clues down, you show how it all comes together, and then it's revealed and it's shown how the little pieces connect. Now, the other way I was talking about is actually related to this way as well. So in this way, I am teasing what's going on in the story. I'm giving the reader more and more information, but I'm still trying to maintain the secrecy of what actually happens at the end of the story. And when the reader comes together, the reader isn't told necessarily how everything fits together, but when you show the reader what actually is the case, the reader is going to link all those things together naturally. And it is the same thing when you are teasing other ideas within your story that are more tertiary. When you tease something in your story, when you give people little details about something, they are going to fill in the gaps. And though there are a lot of different pieces to making a story good, this is one that can bring your story from something that is mundane to something that is very interesting to the reader. So what do you think? What are your other ways of making stories really interesting? What are your other ways of really getting readers interested in what you are writing about? I'd love to hear your comments below if you're on a platform that you can do that with, or if you are on a podcast app, you can always connect to me via social media as well. If you enjoyed this, you're probably wondering how you can support me. Well, you can actually do two simple things. Follow the first link below to grab a copy of my book, and then follow the second link and sign up for my newsletter. It's that simple. Those two things will mean the world to me and give me more time to write books and create content for you. As always, my name is Daniel Poppie, and this is How to Write Good.